All right, let's keep it real here for a second. Up until now, Damon has been that kid on the playground who wins every fight without breaking a sweat. He's flexed on Shinobi and other characters who far outclassed Jigen. He's embarrassed a lot of opponents with zero effort. And the wild part, he hasn't even been using his full power. That's been the scary truth about Damon for a long time. He's been walking around with his training weights on, basically, casually stomping out people. But now, for the first time since his introduction, Damon is officially on watch to get bodied. And it's not just fan speculation. The story itself has now confirmed, and it is setting up for after the Sarda versus Damon situation, however that plays out. Because if Kashin Koji, the calm and calculated clone of Jiraiya himself, the pragmatic clone of Jiraiya, is panicking about Mamushi, that tells you one thing that I don't think enough people are talking about. Damon alone is not cutting it against this new monster, which is scary. And today we're going to be breaking down exactly why that is in this newest Naruto Explained video, where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, breaks down why Damon is officially on fraud watch right now. And by fraud watch, I mean less that he isn't strong, because he is strong, but instead he's potentially being set up for the code treatment, where his full power was hyped up and suddenly he's being walked over by enemies that are strong enough to show that the benchmark for power, it has changed in order to fit the narrative, highlighting how the upper tiers of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, they are being surpassed by characters in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. Very consistent with battles shown in writing where a group of antagonists surpass the ones prior. Last month before the chapter, I said, hey, there's a good chance that Damon might be on watch. Prepare yourself for a code situation, and this chapter has given us new information to solidify that. Also, Boruto's manga, it did pass a really big milestone this week, with Shueisha confirming it has 10 million copies in Japan alone, which for reference, that's 2 million behind Dragon Ball Super and Dandadan. I will leave linked in the description box of the video where I have the updated numbers on Boruto's 10 million in Japan and the worldwide numbers being just under 17 million for Boruto, which I recommend watching if you want to learn more about the manga industry and how Boruto stacks overall. Also, don't forget to sub to my Anime Explained channel, where I discuss other anime and manga, and my Everything One Piece Explained channel, where I only discuss One Piece and explain videos and blind react to chapters from chapter 1 all the way up to the most current chapter. Everything that I just mentioned will be in the description box for your convenience. So let's just get right into it. Damon, that boy's been all hype right now, and it is shifting. Damon has been a character that's been near and dear to my heart because he's been used to troll characters in the best way possible. From his debut, he was just presented as being quite literally untouchable, reflecting abilities with his broken shinjutsu technique. Laughing while stronger people like Jigen were said to have crumbled in front of him. Laughing while people like Code were beaten within an inch of their life. Laughing while he knocked Boruto and Kawaki unconscious. And the kicker, he's never once fought seriously. That implication is terrifying. It's been terrifying ever since he revealed that in chapter 80 of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. If this is Damon holding back, then his full strength must be on another plane of existence. That's why this shift is so huge. In chapter 26 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, Kashin Koji spells it out. Mamushi is a threat so severe that even he and Shikamaru, they need to plan carefully just to survive. Kashin Koji, a man who has foresight via 10 Directions vision, isn't treating Damon as the automatic answer here. He's not pulling an Iron Man when he told Loki, hey fam, we got a Hulk. That ain't happening. He's talking weaknesses, strategies, and preparation. Translation, if Damon could bulldoze Mamushi like he did everyone else, Kashin Koji would be stressing like this. The fact is that he's telling us this. It means that Mamushi is on a completely different playing field. This also lines up with the last arc. We were told that taking down someone like Matsuri wasn't going to be very easy, to the point that Kashin Koji had to cook up a whole strategy for Shikamaru to give Konoha to take down Matsuri by working to get her guard lowered. But in this instance, it looks like for Mamushi, there will be a fight, and Kashin Koji is worried enough that he needs to share intel for them to even stand a chance. Now, Why this Mamushi threat is something you as a fan should take serious, I think it needs to be restated. So why Mamushi? Why is he such a threat compared to someone like Damon? Well, the first reason is very poetic. Mamushi was created from Bug's chakra. Mamushi is the true reflection of Bug's personality. Think about the storytelling here. Bug was the guy that Damon used to torment relentlessly. Damon treated him like dirt, like a joke, but now Bug's chakra has been reborn as Mamushi, a predator so dangerous that Damon himself is not going to be overcoming the Ten Tails chakra, Bug's chakra, Code's chakra, Ishiki's essence that came from the Karma seal, as well as the Shibai cells that got passed on. That is a narrative karma right there. That is why all these Shinju are so damn overpowered. The second reason comes from Japanese folklore and biology. The word Mamushi isn't random. It's the name of the Japanese pit viper, something that longtime viewers of the channel, you know this, is one of the deadliest, if not the deadliest snake in Japan. This isn't just a cool name. The real life Mamushi is known for being patient and ambushing its prey, delivering a venom that is so potent that it can kill a human in a matter of hours if left untreated. It hides, it waits, it hunts down its target by its scent, and when it strikes, it is lethal. That explains why Mamushi might have been able to see where Ada was. He was sensing her fear, basically. This also explains exactly why Mamushi is being represented like this in Boruto. He is a hidden danger, underestimated at first, but lethal if engaged. If Damon was used to crushing his enemies at raw dominance, then Mamushi is the opposite. He's cunning, he's venomous, he's unpredictable. Go back to his fight with Boruto. He wasn't going for big flashy stuff in the way that Hidari was, or Hidari is just going straight for the Chidori, then using the tactics hiding inside of the claw grinds and etc. Instead, Mamushi, he blitzed Boruto right away and he went right for transforming his arm into what looks like a snake, trying to consume Boruto. That is why Kashin Koji is worried. He's acting very much like a real life Mamushi, even down to the shape that his arm and his hand takes when he tries to swallow Boruto. It takes the shape of a Mamushi snake or something very similar to it. Quick strikes that you don't see coming. Quick strikes that if they hit you, you're dead. Boruto, Mamushi, and the power scaling is next thing we have to look at. Yes, power scaling. Every Boruto detractor's worst nightmare. They like to say Boruto power scaling is broken, but they really just expose the fact they don't really understand how linear Naruto's power scaling was, but that's another video for another day. I said to say this. This is where it does get exciting. Boruto himself, he's already clashed with Mamushi, and while Boruto did hold his ground, there were moments where Mamushi did have him pressured. The fact that Boruto could even fight a foe like him toe-to-toe is telling, because if Kashin Koji is right that Mamushi is on a level beyond Damon, then Boruto being able to survive against him suggests something huge. Boruto might have already surpassed Damon, which that sounds crazy, but it makes sense with how the narrative's lining things up. The levels of power that we saw in Boruto Naruto Next Generations are getting surpassed. The same way when you read and watch Naruto, it seemed like a really big deal to be Jonin level, and then Sakura and Naruto come out the time skip and they're Jonin level. Now Jonin level doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Same thing with, hey, it's Akatsuki level, and then you start seeing Akatsuki members get their ass whooped. The same thing's happening. So think about what this means. Since part one of the story, Boruto, you could look at his growth and you could compare it to Naruto and Sasuke and say he's growing at a faster pace. Not necessarily in just raw power, but also in the number of tiers that he is jumping up. But Damon has always been hanging over the power scale like a cheat code. Nobody could touch him up until this point, but now the emergence of Mamushi, it flips the entire script. If Boruto's able to rise up to that level, especially if Boruto was the one that ends up defeating Mamushi, it means that Boruto might have surpassed Damon depending on how Damon does in the fight. That's exactly what the story needs. Damon was never meant to be the endgame boss. Take it from somebody who's a fan of the character. He, like Code, was always meant to be a stepping stone. And given Ikimoto has a penchant for making a lot of fights, one-sided fights, he's probably going to get stomped. Boruto, at the end of the day, is meant to be one of the final characters. by giving him a threat that Damon couldn't solo. The narrative is shifting the focus back to where it belongs, on Boruto Uzumaki, barring some major mental amp that we get for someone like Mitsuki, because you could argue Mitsuki's never reached his full potential. Now, this also comes into a raising of the stakes. The story desperately has an opportunity to take advantage of a development that also massively raises the stakes. Think about it. When Damon was the strongest card on the table, there was always this sense of safety. He could protect Ada, he could crush enemies, and he could create the illusion that our heroes had this untouchable trump card. Think about it for a second. Why did Code not just rush into Konoha? Because he knew Damon was there. Damon just whooped his ass. He wasn't worried about Naruto and Sasuke. Naruto and Sasuke were pretty sure if they teamed up, they might have been able to defeat Code, but that confidence looks a lot misplaced, just given the fact that Sasuke, fighting alongside Boruto, flat out said they stood no chance. I don't care that Sasuke cut his eye. More likely than not, that's off guard given Sasuke's words. We can't defeat him right now. Code tends to fight down to the level of people that he's fighting. But now at this moment, getting back to Damon, that card is finally being challenged. If Mamushi is able to potentially defeat Damon based on what Kashin Koji is saying, we need to come up with strategies. You need to know how this dude's powers work. Then suddenly nobody's safe. Ada is truly vulnerable. The Leaf Village is truly vulnerable. And Boruto's role, Kawaki's potential role, Mitsuki's potential role, Sarada's potential role, it might be them being the only one that can stand on the front lines. It might start becoming more clear. It also reframes Damon's character. If he does get pressured or outright bodied by Mamushi, it does not ruin him. I'm calling this fraud watch, but it's not really fraud watch. Instead, this is a moment that humanizes him. It shows that even Damon has his limits, and it makes his connection to Boruto, Sarada, Kawaki, Mitsuki, even Ada, it matter more, because instead of being the big unstoppable wall, he's now having to become a jag, just another guy. Just another cog in the wheel needed for Boruto's growth. The takeaway you should have from this is that Damon, the kid who was laughing at power levels beyond Jigen, is now officially on watch to get humbled. And the reason is Mamushi, a predator born from Bug's chakra, modeled after one of Japan's deadliest snakes, and is now set up to be the kind of villain even Damon can't solo. This is poetic storytelling. It's smart scaling for Boruto's story, and it's a shift in the balance of power. If Boruto can surpass Damon by standing up to Mamushi, then the series has just given us a perfect way to re-establish Boruto as a central hero. The stakes, they're now higher than ever before. And for the first time, Damon's reign of being truly untouchable, it might be coming to an end. It makes us ask the question, is Mamushi deserving of be the one who truly humbles Damon, or will Damon's full power be enough once Kashin Koji gets all the information needed? Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and clicking here on the left to check out more videos from Naruto Explained, or click here on the right to check out videos from other two anime channels where I talk about non-Naruto content.